Good morning and hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of OTC on the Clock, Miami Dolphins Draft Show here on FTSN. I am Bobby Fitztalk, joined always by Josh Wingate and Coach Vogel. Good morning, fellas. Josh, we'll start with you. How are you, brother?
Doing well. Just got in last night from a trip to New York. Went to our first Broadway show. Saw Aladdin.
Ooh,
That was
very
cool.
cool.
And then my daughter brought her American Girl doll, so we went to the American Girl doll store. That place is like Disney. Like you can
I'm
spend some
sure.
money at American Girl doll store.
Oh,
Yeah,
dude, it's
that
ridiculous.
stuff is not cheap
Oh,
at
it's
all.
not at all. She had tea with them, but then we did some cool stuff as well. We saw the Empire State Building. We went to FAO Schwartz.
Hmm.
She did the whole piano thing from Big, so that was kind of cool. So
Nice.
yeah, had a good time.
Yeah.
There you go. What about you, Coach? How's the team doing?
Well, we've taken a couple L's the last 2 weeks, but the NAL season's crazy and just the logistics behind it and everything. But we just got back from Idaho, rolled into the house at 3 o'clock this morning. We had a game Thursday night. We couldn't get any flights out on Friday, so we flew back, which and amounts to 5 o'clock our time, and then we got into Charlotte at 1, and then an hour and a half bus ride back from Charlotte to Greensboro, and then 30-minute ride from Greensboro to Winston. And here we are, looking
There
a
you
little
go.
scruffy and haggard, but we're good.
There you go. There you
On the
go,
Dream
man.
Podcast.
That's right. And we are inching closer and closer to the NFL draft, and more stuff is starting to come out. We will start off though with some sad news, though that Josh just brought up. That NFL draft prospect LSU wide receiver Kieran Lacey has passed away this morning at 24 years old, which is devastating. So we don't have the details of that. We don't know the details of it. But just I guess I'll speak on behalf of me and the guys. Our condolences to his family and to his friends and to his fans. That's heartbreaking news. Heartbreaking. Miami, the Dolphins, the greatest football team. They
Are always in the news.
always in the news for any other reason, whether that's a draft visit, police being called, Tyreek, or potential trade for not four, but two, one of our all pro players. First off, the all pro visits. Miami's met with wide receiver Kyle Williams for Washington State. I believe he had he had over 1,000 yards. I think it was, I don't have the exact number, but I think it was something 1,000 yards and 14 touchdowns. He was pretty. He had some good numbers. I got to watch him. I haven't watched him, but that's one of the receivers they've met with. They've met with Nick Amenrari, Quinn Ewers, defensive tackle Shamir Turner from Texas A&M, Mason Taylor, tight end at LSU, whose dad is Jason Taylor, as we all know, Alfred Collins, D tackle out of Texas, and Keontae Hamilton, D tackle out of Rutgers. There's some other guys they've met, but those are some of their top 30 visits. Coach, I'll start very quick. Any of those top 30 visits intrigue you?
Like I said, I haven't had an opportunity to do a lot of film work, but the Mason Taylor, I think I watched a little bit of his film, and what I see, I don't think he's going to be around long. I think you get into day two, middle of day two, day three, I think he's going to be a hot commodity. So that's one that intrigues me because I liked his film a little more than some that I watched, but as a legacy, that'd be cool to kind of see him don the Dolphins jersey. So that one intrigued me a little bit.
Josh?
So for me, it's going to be the Shamar Turner 30 visit that I saw on there. I'm curious of what that means because I feel like he's kind of like in that position of I don't think you take him at 13. I think he falls back a little bit. So does that mean like, hey, we're also considering a trade back here, trying to get further back in the draft, or does it mean, hey, I just wanted to do my due diligence on this guy because if he is there at 13, we might take him. So I'm curious about that of what it means where Miami's going to go in the draft.
Yeah, I will say Miami has been meeting with lots of D tackles. They've met with a few tight ends and safeties. I think D tackle is a position where obviously if you have like a Mason Graham sitting there, maybe if you're really high on a Turner and you like what you see and what he can do, then you go, okay, let's just go ahead and do it. But I think D tackle for the draft is deeper than some would give it credit for. You could come away with a very good D tackle in the second or possibly in the third round and maybe even the fourth round. Uh, Mason Taylor, I think, Coach, you're absolutely right. He's rising up draft boards. I mean, and I know he came away from the Senior Bowl and the scouting combine impressing a lot of people. He's very mature. We know who his dad is. To me, my favorite Dolphin of all time is Jason Taylor.
Yeah.
It is a legacy pick. But if you look at the statistics, you're like, eh. But when you watch the film, you see a kid who plays his heart out.
Yeah.
He can do almost everything, anything. So you're right. This is not a guy where early on in the draft process, a lot of people are like, oh, this is a third, fourth, fifth round pick. No, he probably could more likely go in the second round early on. So if you want him, you're gonna have to go for it. Probably at 48, or may have to move up.
Right.
Here's the problem now. Miami, Calais Campbell has signed with the Arizona Cardinals.
Yep.
So that leaves a hole at D tackle or defensive line next to Zach Sealer.
Yep.
Is Zach
Then
Sealer locked up?
Yes. I think he
They
could
locked, they
restrict, but
locked
he's
him
locked.
up last year, I think.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah, he's
'Cause
good.
That's the other thing that got me with Shamar Turner, because Shamar Turner kind of plays that three technique that he plays, and I'm kind of, well, why Shamar Turner? Because you need more of that five technique guy like the Alfred Collins that we watched last week, Derek Harmon, Vernon Broughton, guys like that fit better. So I'm just curious why Shamar Turner in that process as well.
Yeah, it's intriguing to figure out what their thought process will be or what it is. And maybe it's just due diligence. Maybe it's just
Yeah,
like, hey,
very well could be.
these guys play similar, but still, this guy may be a can't miss guy. Um, but and then you go D tackle with Calais Campbell. That's why we're talking about it. He's gone. Then you go left tackle, Taron Armstead. Are the Dolphins comfortable with Patrick Paul? Because a lot of people are now saying, oh, you got to draft Will Campbell. You got to draft this guy. It is like, okay, can they play guard? Because you do have Patrick Paul. And I will say, this just came back to me. I will say that on our Twitter DM board
Yep.
for On the Clock, Josh Wingate, Dave Stager, Greg Maney had a great debate in regards of what should be more important, I guess, with Miami's top pick. And that was that debate of, the trenches versus, I forgot what that term is, impact player or something.
Yeah, like the I forget what it was.
But it's, basically receiver, corner.
Like skill positions.
Skills positions. And I thought it was a great debate. And Josh, we don't have to get into a debate or anything like that. There's no, but I'd love to hear your perspective on that and just what that was all about.
Yeah, no. So it started off with I got into Kelvin Banks Jr.'s film and started watching him, and I was trying to find that player that could do that transition of, because Patrick Paul, we want to make sure that we give him the time to play. So someone that could be that flex guy that could play guard, swing out the tackle if Patrick Paul doesn't work. And I kind of saw that with Kelvin Banks Jr. Will Campbell, while a lot of people are looking at him as a tackle, I see him more as a guard, unfortunately, just because of how he works in space.
I do too.
But I started asking the guys within the DM, because I appreciate everyone's intake or input on the situation. So I started asking everyone what they felt about Kelvin Banks. And that started sparking up the conversation of, well, they don't really need to go offensive line necessarily. Greg started. They need to get more of the cornerback, wide receiver solidified because teams don't win until they have their skill position set. Was what Greg was saying. He gave an example of the Eagles. Eagles put a lot of effort into their offensive line, defensive line, but it wasn't until they started investing into their skill position that they started to play well and start winning. I'm one that I feel like the trenches are important. You have to have your
My
offensive line,
example,
defensive line.
my example for that is the Detroit Lions. The Detroit Lions didn't start winning until they solidified the offensive and defensive line.
But at the end, like the conversation happened, people were said they were wrong, things like that.
Oh no, I'm not going to say that.
Yeah, but
my
my take is it's kind of like the chicken or the egg.
Yeah.
However you want to build your team.
Right.
Does it start with the chicken or does it start with the egg?
Right.
You can build it both ways. It's just how
Yeah.
best do you feel it is to build your team. So
Yeah.
kind of how it went.
So, and Coach, I'm going to let you follow up here. I'll just say is that I was reading that conversation. And there was sometimes I was going to type into it and then type out of it, but I just let it roll on. But I'll just say it here. I get it. I'm all about the trenches. I'm about building from the inside out. You start from there. You move yourself back. I will say in Miami's case for this season, though, with pick 13, I think there's going to be too much talent available at 13 for Miami to say, hey,
It has to be
we have to draft a trench guy over
Have you guys
this.
watch Banks?
I saw some of Banks, but I do see him as a guard. I did watch Banks.
What, like, this all, like, just from watching Will Campbell and Calvin Banks, who are considered the top linemen in this draft, this offensive tackle class is awful. It would be like second, third round in most drafts. But if you look at Kelvin Banks, I think he can play the tackle. I think he can play it fairly well. If you watch him at Texas, he did it fairly well. He can go out, move out into space. I think he's better suited at guard. But why is everyone saying that he's falling down boards? I don't see why he's falling down boards. He was a top tier guy, and now he's falling down. Will Campbell somehow is like the premier
Will
guy.
Campbell's the holy grail for some
why,
people.
Why? Like you watch him, you do an inside move on this guy, and he's done. He's cooked.
Yeah.
Like
your
quarterback's out for the rest of the season after that.
Yeah.
What I like about, I'll tell you what I like about, and I was looking for, let me see the grade I have on Campbell because everybody loves Campbell. And he is, let's see, he's 6.5. Arizona's guard tackle, Jonas Savanea is the highest one for me. But Calvin Banks, he's right up there. He's right behind Savanea, 6.73. So that just tells you where our viewpoint is on the guys. But what I love about Calvin Banks, again, and I know for someone like Scotty, who I'm sure will tune in eventually, but usually watches, I know he thinks the whole versatility thing is overrated. I don't. I think versatility means a lot. And I like what Banks could do on the outside at tackle and then in the inside at guard. I think that adds a lot to him. Where, again, like I said, I would not. It's not like if let's say Miami picked Calvin Banks at 13. Oh, hellfire and brimstone, let's burn it all down. No, I just say like, we're not going to pass up on a or I don't think we should pass up on a Will Johnson or a Jody Barron or an Amon Rari or, think of anybody, a skill because there's a lot of great skill position players that are going to be there that you could go, if you miss out on one of those guys at the top, you could go Tate Ratledge possibly or Fairchild, or any of those guys later on in the draft. Not later on, but second round, third round.
The only thing that concerns me with that is that flex of moving out to left tackle to protect yourself against a Patrick Paul. That's the only value I see in like a Kelvin Banks Jr. of going higher for him is because of that flex you get with that.
Now, here's the thing. You're not wrong. I think he is very most he may not be available by pick 13. More than likely, he could go to the Jacksonville Jaguars. One thing I love to do. I was working on the round 1 mock draft. And that's how I do. I usually work on a round 1 mock draft, and then I'll do the Dolphins mock draft, so I can kind of see where I'm at and everything else. And how I do it is, I will go and I'll start reading all the team rumors, the team needs, like, you know what I mean. And there's some guys that are better than others, and I like to review that. And one of the things I was seeing is that the Jacksonville Jaguars like Banks more than I like Campbell. Campbell might go to the Patriots, depending on how it plays out, but Banks could be off the board at that point. So to Josh's point, and that's fine. But of course, you look at what the Jaguars have compared to what Miami has. If Miami trades a receiver, trades Tyreek, now receiver's a bigger need.
Yeah.
And that's the next guy I got to watch. I got to watch Matthew Golden. I know a lot of people are high on him. I got to watch him. Then you look at the tackle, corner, because now, there was a report yesterday, Coach. I don't know if you saw that on Twitter. Twitter kind of blew up. Not yesterday, but the day before. Slick Rick. I'm forgetting his name, but
Oh, yeah. I did.
Yeah, yep.
But he made a post saying, Dolphins are going to trade an all-pro player. And
defense, right?
Like
on defense.
I don't know if he specified it, but I know people at first you would go, it's Tyreek, of course, with the drama and all this. But then people started saying, no, it's Jalen Ramsey. So I don't know. Some people were I'm not going to knock him or put him on a pedestal, but a lot of people were saying, hey, look, this guy has known some things. This guy's broke some things. I didn't want to do the research on that.
Yeah.
But I did bring it up yesterday on the show. What if they did? Of course, it gives Miami a lot more money. It's less of a cap hit because Tyreek, you just extended him for no reason the year before. But if you trade, right now you need a corner. You have Kader Kohu, Storm Duck, Cam Smith. Cam Smith has not shown you anything. You have Jalen Ramsey. That's your only bright spot. You trade away Ramsey, then think about what your cornerback room is going to look like.
Yeah.
Now you don't need just one. You need two.
It's unfathomable unless you can get like serious draft capital back for him. But I mean, that's the one good, unless he wants to be traded. I mean, Miami hasn't been the stellar program that he's wanted it to be. I don't know that Miami's that much closer this year than they were last year.
They're not.
I mean, there's one All-Pro that I would be done with in a heartbeat.
Yeah, and that's the thing though. That All-Pro, if you were to move him, it's going to hurt you a lot more just because in regards of not the position. Because again, you trade away a Hill. This was what I was talking about yesterday. You trade away a Hill. You have Jalen Waddle.
Right.
You got Nick Westbrook, who I think is a good player. You got Malik Washington. And then you have the option to draft a receiver in the draft because there's some decent receivers in this draft.
Yeah.
Where at corner, you trade away Ramsey. You already need a corner. You already need another corner. Now you need two.
Yeah.
Now you're in the dirt. Now you're stuck. Plus, you need another safety because those other two guys can't stay healthy.
Right.
We just signed. So it's like Miami really has themselves in a grind now where they're trying to find money because everybody, oh man, they got this guy. Oh, they extended this guy. They re-signed this guy a lot of money. They signed this dude. But guess what? Sometimes that's going to come back and bite you in the ass. And it's right now it's doing that. Yeah. So it's intriguing to see how it's going to play out. Just want to make sure I'm not missing anything here. And we're going to get right into the round 1 mock draft, which this is not just a Dolphins pick. We're going to do one round, and we are going to do each pick. So I'll start off with the Titans, Josh with the Browns, Coach with the Giants, and then go from there with each pick. We'll see who's available for Miami's pick. So we'll play GM, armchair GM for each and every team. We're going to go ahead and do that. Before we roll into that, I just want to remind everybody that the FTSN crew will be covering the Pro Football Draft live coverage starting Thursday, 8 p.m. Eastern Time. And, of course, starting up with Friday at 7 p.m., Saturday at 12. rounds 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. FTSN crew will be live. Sponsored by Caneswear, the Caneswear store, Miami Fanswear at 2655 South University Drive in Davie, Florida, where they got all your pro South Florida sports teams from the Dolphins, the Heat, the Canes, the Florida Panthers, Inter Miami. They got it all. It's sponsored by Caneswear, meaning that one lucky viewer each day of draft coverage will be chosen to win a Caneswear gift card to get some awesome gear at the end of the draft. So as we roll out, Josh, you got anything for us before we get this rolling here?
No, I'm ready.
All right. Let me
Yeah,
get our.
let's see how we can shake up this thing.
Let's shake it up, man.
That's right. That's
Shake
right.
this up. Let me go ahead and share. I won't be able to see the comments, so I'll let you guys handle looking at that. Put this here. Perfect. All right. Take a look at that.
How to make this.
Better. All right. So I have 2 pages in front of me. So obviously, and we are using the ProFootballNetwork.com mock draft. I prefer them. I think they're great. We're going pick by pick. We don't have to worry about trades here. All right. And again, I'll start this off and I'm going to make it easy. But I'm going to roll with obviously the favorite of this pick. I don't really see the Titans going anywhere else at this point in time. They need a quarterback, and they're going to go into my old backyard, but the Dolphins' backyard, and they're going to go draft who should have been in that Heisman conversation, Cam Ward. So they're going to get their franchise quarterback, Cam Ward, flies off the board first, going to the Tennessee Titans, who he can do his selling. So pretty easy on my part. I'm rolling Cam Ward with number 1.
Not a whole lot to discuss there. I agree. I think that's the pick.
Not at all.
So I guess I'm up now.
Is there anybody there? Yeah. Is there anybody there, though, between the 3 guys? Like, and I'll ask you, Josh, and then you go roll with the Cleveland pick. But is there anybody at number 1 other than Cam Ward that you'd be like, I could see the Titans, or the Titans might want to consider this over Cam Ward? Or do you think, no, you got to start with the quarterback at this point?
I mean, Abdul Carter. I feel like didn't someone on their team already say like, "Hey, I want us to invest into our defensive line a little bit more"? I forget who that was. Their star defensive tackle. Can't think of his name right now.
Oh, Jeffrey Simmons.
Yeah, Jeff Simmons basically said, I would love for this team to take Abdul Carter, but he knows like there's a process in this. So Abdul Carter could be that guy. Travis Hunter could be that guy too. I don't see like cornerback, wide receiver with positional value being the first overall pick anymore. But because he does have that value of 2 positions and what you can get out of him, that could be the first corner wide receiver to go number 1 in a long time. And the name that comes with it, the amount of jersey sales that you would have with that would be
the new stadium.
Yep. But Cam Ward is going to be the pick. I mean, new stadium, new quarterback.
Yep.
It's going to sell jerseys as well. So, but for Cleveland, my father-in-law is actually a Cleveland Browns fan.
Oh, there you go.
So I hear a lot about the Browns in my ear about how they're going to go to the Super Bowl and all this. Every year I hear that. But I think it's been since 2018 that you've actually invested in a draft pick at quarterback with Baker Mayfield. That didn't turn out for the Browns, but they also have been well known in saying like, look, our current guy, he's not the guy. We're moving on from him. So I feel like this has to be a quarterback position. You could go Abdul Carter and get like a Rags or just so much riches at that position of having two star defensive ends just crashing in on the quarterback. But at the same time, I feel like you have to go get your star quarterback. And it's not going to be Shador Sanders for me. I think Jackson Dart is going to be that guy.
Wow. Okay.
I hear a lot
Wow.
of Sanders falling down and Dart just skyrocketing. So Jackson Dart's going to be that pick.
Wow.
Damn.
Wow.
Way
With
to
the first
start
big
this
wowzer.
Yeah.
off.
Well,
You hear a
Damn.
lot
Okay.
of people loving Dart and just he's kind of just stayed around that area and a lot more falling down. You have to go get your quarterback.
So there you
Keep
go.
throwing
So,
darts at the quarterback position.
yeah. So Jackson Dart flies all the way up to number 2. Let me just go, Coach. What's your reaction to that?
wow. That not you said quarterback, and I was like, oh, that's not good. That might screw up my pick here
Yeah.
for the Giants. But that's I can see that. I can see that. I do feel that Dart is more that Stefanski type quarterback.
Yeah.
He feels a little bit like who did he have? Kirk Cousins. So I could see that.
So I will just say this before we get to the Giants. This would fall into, first off, into Miami's favor, because now you know, like, hey, Shador is going to be on watch alert big time now, because Jackson Dart just went on the board. This is now you think about it. Now Abdul Carter, you just brought it up. Abdul Carter is is a favorite for me at this pick at number 2, just because of that. Of course, so is Travis Hunter, but that thought process of, hey man, we could pair Myles Garrett with Abdul Carter, and then you got a
Yeah.
great 1-2 punch going after these NFC North quarterbacks. But now the Giants there are sitting pretty at number 3 with both Abdul Carter, Travis Hunter still on the board, available to them. Of course, okay, so no, less is more. Coach, what's happening here? What happens at 3?
This is probably not going to go over well for most people, but I like Sanders, Shador at quarterback for their long term need. I'm a little higher on Shador than most people. The reason is you look at Jackson State before he got there, turned them into a winning organization. What was Colorado
Fair enough.
before he got there? And I know it's not just him, but like he's brought a lot of that. When I look at quarterbacks, I like to do what they, I like to see what they did in college, what the college team was before they got there, and so I think he could be a game changer there. So I'm going to take Shador at number 3. I know they went quarterback. They got a couple backup or what's their names? Jameis and didn't
They
what's
got
the other dude?
Russell Wilson and Jameis Winston.
Yeah, I don't think Russell Wilson's a long-term answer. So if you can get right, you
Yeah.
want somebody in there like you guys were saying, somebody that can sell jerseys. The Giants have been down on quarterbacks for a long time, and I feel like I think Shador has the lineage of that. The big game market. His dad knows how to handle
Yep.
the New York media and stuff like that that he would have to get. So I'm going to go Shador Sanders at 3.
I was going to speak to that a little bit too. Like going into the New York market, like who better at quarterback that has been in the eyes of the media his entire life with it was his dad playing high school football and being on a TV show while doing it with his dad's reality show.
Yeah.
Moving into going to an HBCU and turning them around and then moving on to Colorado. Like he's
Possibly the worst college team ever.
Yeah. And so, yeah, I agree. I think Shador Sanders is a great pick there. I also want to, as of Friday, Zach Johnson came out and said that there's real chatter that Mississippi's Jackson Dart could go ahead of Sanders in this draft.
Well, look at you patting yourself on the back there. All right. For the hated Patriot pick there, Bob.
Yeah.
Bobby.
So So this is how crazy this is, right? So first off, this is a best case scenario for a team like the Patriots. This is a
Yeah.
best case scenario for a team even down at 13 in Miami because some great players going to be there because what happens with Milrow at this point? We know the Saints have shown
Yep.
interest in him. A lot of teams there's top 10 talk of Jalen Milrow. Does he go in that top 10? We already have 3 quarterbacks off the board. So this is interesting. If Abdul Carter and Travis Hunter had fallen off here at 2 and 3, this would be Will Campbell at 4 for me. I was like, oh, that's easy. We're going to skip these guys and just keep going. No, that's not the case anymore. So there's just no way that I can go Campbell with this pick when I got Abdul Carter sitting there out of Penn State. So going blue chip player here, Abdul Carter going to the New England Patriots. I mean, the Patriots are jumping for joy right now because they could go get a tackle later in round 2. That there's options there, and there's some good edge rushers later on in the draft too. But nobody's Abdul Carter, so they're gonna go Abdul Carter right here.
And to me, that'd be a perfect Vrabel pick, right? Vrabel was a stud on defense, having that option. That dude would be jumping for joy. He'd be sprinting up to the podium on that one.
100%. 100%. Now we move on to the Jacksonville Jaguars, who are on the board, and Josh, he is not one for what you think makes sense.
Yeah.
But let's go with this, man. I'm excited to find out what this pick is right now, Josh.
I feel like Jacksonville at this point needs to start having conversations over trade back because there's so much here that they could do. They could go Mason Graham. They can go Travis Hunter. I personally feel like you could go Ashton Genty here because I'm not sold on Travis Etienne for them. But I think the obvious pick is going to be Travis Hunter here. I know the entire chat is going to be like, what are you thinking? Like, we want Miami to get Travis Hunter. It's not going to happen because I feel like Travis Hunter would then be the pick here. But there are real discussions around Mason Graham and Travis Hunter at this pick. But Travis Hunter is the pick.
Well, and what Travis Hunter offers, right? I mean, you look at, they got the needs on there. We obviously are not deep dived into the Jacksonville Jaguars roster and they don't really need a receiver. They don't need but think about what he offers you here. You get a star corner and you got a very good receiver coming onto your team. And guess what? Now you do already have Trevor Lawrence, but now you got a legitimate star player that's going to put butts in seats. We know how much the Khans, Tony Khan and his Shahad, the father, they love that. Yeah. And so this is huge. So Travis Hunter falls to the Jacksonville Jaguars at 5 here. And that's an easy pick for them. So there you go. Travis Hunter and Abdul Carter both falling to the Patriots and the Jaguars. So, Coach, you got the Raiders. What do the Vegas Raiders do?
All right. Well, I think on draft day we might see a few trades in the first round. I think the Raiders would be one of those teams trying to move up to get a quarterback. But in this scenario, the top 3 quarterbacks are off the board. And to me, Ashton Genty feels like a Raider pick to me. Yeah. Trying to get a stud running back. I still feel like I really feel like they're going to be in play at quarterback on draft day, but I just feel like in this scenario, Ashton Genty feels very Raider-esque to me here.
This pick right here, and we'll go Ashton Genty here, and I think you're in the ballpark. One thing I've been seeing is that, or something that I've been seeing from both multiple teams, and they start to make me think this is a trade down option right here, where I could see whether that's a Shedeur Sanders or a Jalen Milrow or whatever. More than likely it's Shedeur, because if Shedeur starts to slip on draft day, where if he's sitting there at 6, I could see a team like the Saints calling the Raiders, working on a deal. Raiders trade down the 9. The Saints pick up their quarterback, and then the Raiders go Genty.
I don't think the Raiders would pass on Shador though. They're in need of a quarterback and somebody to change that franchise, and I don't know that they would pass on him.
Hey, and you know what? You could be
maybe,
right. You could be right.
That's why I love the draft process, man, because there's so many different scenarios, and guys pop up, and you're like, oh, there's no way the Jets are going to pass on this guy at 7, and then draft comes down and the Jets completely pass on him and go somebody else.
So I guess I got the Jets, right? So I'm going to roll with a punter here. Well, who's the punter? I'm just playing. I'm not. I'm messing here. No. So here's another player that could go as high as 4 to the New England Patriots, but he's still sitting there. They need an offensive tackle.
Yeah.
They could go Mason Graham. You know, they could go quarterback. They got Justin Fields though. But no, they're going to go here. They're going to get Will Campbell out of LSU to put on that offensive line. You know, they don't have Tyron Smith. They need to get off, you know, and we've talked about Will Campbell. We know his flaws. Obviously we've talked about Calvin Banks, but going based off what others are saying and everything else. And, Will Campbell's a good player. He's a good player. I mean, he's not the highest graded one, but to others he is, and maybe he is to the Jets. But he's still here on the board. He can go as high as 4, but he's going to go to 7 to the New York Jets so they can get that help on that offensive line and go from there. Josh, you got the Panthers.
The Carolina Panthers. We have Mason Graham still on the board, but I feel like this would be, again, another trade back scenario because I don't think Carolina really wants to, with their defense, draft Mason Graham. It's kind of like wasting a pick at that point because you're wasting the player that he is.
Yeah.
Putting him in a 34 defense and saying, let's make something about it. Man, this is tough because I wanted to go offensive line here. And my belief, if I was GM of this team, like how I would structure this team and how I would say, hey, I want to build out my offensive line is Ikwanu would be moved into guard. I don't think he's a tackle. So I would want to find a true left tackle for them. I don't think you're finding that in this draft necessarily.
Right.
But I would. But man, I would want to trade back here so much. And they've invested. They have Adam Thielen, who's getting older.
Yep.
Xavier Legette, who I loved. Jalen Coker. Ooh, man, this is going to be a rough one for me. I am going to say, let's go, because he is here. They do need help on the defensive line. I'm going Mason Graham because the value is just too rich to not take him. And I'd rather have the player with that flexibility. We do in the NFL, you run a lot of nickels, so there is going to be more 4-man fronts for Mason Graham to do his thing, even if your base is a 3-4. So I'm going to go Mason Graham there.
My mouse is being a pain here. Bear with me for a second. So Mason Graham going to the Carolina Panthers. And we're at New Orleans. Let's see if I could do this with my... Okay, good. At least I could do it with my finger. Stupid thing. All right. I can't see the comments, guys, so forgive me if you guys are saying stuff. Coach and Wingate could see them. I don't. But we're at the Saints now at pick number 9, and that is the coach's pick. They drafted Spencer Rattler last season, but that didn't really go as needed. I mean, they are heavily – I mean, there is a huge smoke screen, and maybe there's some fire there, but I know there's a lot of noise coming out of New Orleans about them going quarterback.
Yeah.
Obviously, there's 3 guys off the board already in Cam, Shador, and Jackson Dart. Tennessee took Cam Ward. Cleveland shocks the world with Josh Wingate taking Jackson Dart. And then Shador goes 3 to the Giants for coach's pick. But now we're at New Orleans, and those 3 guys are off the board. Milroe is rumored to be flying up, but is he the pick here, Coach?
See, if I'm GMing, I know quarterback is needed, and the three that New Orleans had the eyes on are all gone. I just feel like you've got to go. I'm going to go Membo and try and work on the offensive line a little bit, shift some of those guys around, and try and build some depth and see if we can't, move up in the second round to maybe draft um, Milrow or whoever else they had higher on the board, Curtis Rourke.
There you go. Now we got the Chicago Bears, who I would assume. I mean, that's the pick I was going was Mimbo with Chicago. That was what I was hoping it was going to be,
Well,
but it
it's
doesn't.
not.
I know.
Let's
Well,
throw a wrench throw a wrench in the.
thanks, bro. But so there you go. So Membro is off the board for the Bears and goes to the Saints, who get a big time offensive lineman there. This might be where, and I think it may be. I hear his name a lot when it comes to the Bears, and actually, sorry,
Language.
sorry, because it just hit me. It just hit me, and I don't think this is as much as a shock as it's going to be, because Tyler Warren could be this pick. This is the ballpark where I think Tyler Warren is between here, the Bears and the Niners. Could be the pick. I've heard his name a lot, and I know they got Cole Kemet, and I know the Niners have George Kittle, but this guy's flying up boards right now. There's actually two guys flying up boards at the running.
Yeah. Yep.
And it's just about which one. But I let me tell you the one I'm sold on right now, and I got to watch more of the other. But I'm going to roll with Amarian Hampton with this pick at number 10.
Oh, wow.
I've been reading a lot about Hampton flying up draft boards. I've heard Dallas.
Yeah.
I've heard Chicago. Henderson is flying up too. It's crazy to think that there could be three running backs coming off in round one. But I'm going to go Hampton here. And that gives them a legitimate running back there. And that pairs them with Rashawn Johnson and so forth. But yeah, he flies up so high. I'm going to go with him at number 10. I like that. I got it. I forgot about my touchscreen on this computer here. It's so much easier than the stupid mouse that's giving me issues. But yeah, okay, sorry. So Amarian Hampton going to the Chicago Bears, Josh.
Yeah. So I like Amarian Hampton going there because I'm not feeling Dallas should take a running back that early. So that kind of helps me with Dallas.
There you go.
But for the 49ers, the arch nemesis of the Cowboys, picks right before Dallas. And I think they could go Will Johnson here. I think they can go defensive line as well. They could also look for the future of their left tackle position because, as we know, he's getting old. So I'm thinking here, they lost two players on their defensive line. I'm trying to think of the names of that guy. But they lost. What is it? I can't think of his name. But they lost their two starting defensive tackles, and I believe here, the beauty of when the 49ers were great was you could not run on them. You were basically forced to pass. So I believe if you can come in here and get a good run blocking or run stopping defensive tackle that can also dominate against one-on-one pressure or one-on-one blocking, it'd be amazing for them. So what I'm going to do is potentially blow up the draft. I don't know, but I'm going to go Kenneth Grant here for Michigan.
I like it, man. I like it.
Oh, that's a good pick. How can I make Josh's life miserable with the Dallas Cowboys pick.
Act like Jerry Jones.
I mean,
That's the thing. You have to put the Jerry Jones hat on.
I am.
Yeah. Oh boy,
I
that's
am.
gonna make my life miserable.
Yep, because I'm going to go with Tavian. He needs his new Ohio State running back.
Actually, that's my guy.
All right. Well,
I
there
want
it is.
I want him in the second round. Obviously.
Wait,
well,
are you going? You're going Henderson from Ohio State?
yeah. No,
Oh shit! Shoot. Oh, okay. All right. There you go. That's
It
crazy.
just- I'm sorry, but it just feels
Talk to
Jerry
me.
Jones-ish to me. Like,
That's not going to be the pick, but if it was the pick in the second round, I'd be like, okay, let's go.
Well, you know, though. Oh shit! Shoot.
I think Will Johnson very easily could have been the pick here for Dallas.
I think
Ted
it would have been
McMillan.
McMillan. I think
Yeah, Ted
McMillan
McMillan.
probably would have been. That would have been my pick if it was him. But I think Henderson is not out of the ballpark. Because I keep seeing running back for Dallas. So Henderson could more than likely be that pick. But
now, if Genty's available there, I could definitely see them going.
I could too.
Yeah.
Genty, or is it not Henderson? Hampton.
Yeah.
I'm hearing a lot of Hampton, but Will
Yeah.
Johnson could very well be the pick.
Yeah.
Ted McMillan. Dallas doesn't have a number 2 receiver right now, so Ted McMillan very well could be that pick as well.
So I'm not going to scroll around too much because the 3 guys that are on the board here at the top are the guys that I would consider. Obviously, well, there's one other guy there that's not there, but first off, you know, you got Ted McMillan, Tyler Warren, Will Johnson, the corner out of Michigan. Think about the current situation with the Miami Dolphins with Jalen Ramsey. You have no one next to him, not at all. You know, this actually fell a lot into Miami's favor that these options are here. I don't sleep on Barron from Texas with this pick either. I really like Jody Barron and what he could bring to any team with his versatility in the defensive back field. You know, he could play nickel, he could play out. But Will Johnson sitting there.
Yep.
That's a superstar. You can't pass on a superstar. I know people go, oh, but McMillan, 6'4". I get it. I understand you. But there's a lot of good receivers out there, big-bodied receivers and receivers in general. There's not a lot of great or good corners. Will Johnson is that. I'm going Will Johnson with this pick. That's Miami's pick for me here.
Will Johnson.
You get a guy who that if you keep Ramsey, you got Will Johnson, Jalen Ramsey, Kader Kohu, Storm Duck, Cam Smith. If he turns into anything, it doesn't look as bad. You got his, and you could still go corner and trade Ramsey later if there's a guy there. I don't know if there's going to be, but Will Johnson is a home run pick in my opinion. So, but let me ask you guys. I'll start with you, Coach, and then Josh. Where would you have gone with that pick?
I like that pick. You know, I think Tyler Warren would be one that is, you know, would Tyler Warren be one of those guys that would help us in cold weather, right? He played at Penn State in cold weather, going up against Buffalo, having a big-bodied tight end that could be a security blanket for Tua in cold weather would be an option there too. But I think any of those 3, you know, you'd be okay with.
Yeah,
But yeah, we definitely need the help on the defensive side too.
I'm looking at the situation of you have a particular player in the media a lot this offseason, fell off with the fan base late last season. I'm probably going Ted McMillan there just to kind of get the fan base. Okay, well, there is life after. Oh my God, I am awful with names.
Tyreek Hill.
Tyreek Hill. Holy cow, I didn't have coffee again this morning. So, yeah, I think that's where my head goes is because while you're also building a team, you're also feeding the ego of the fan base a little bit. And you go and say, okay, there's life after Tyreek Hill. Because if your team was to lose Tyreek Hill today, let's say he was suspended, what do you think you would do? Like, where's the fan base go? Like, we have a awful quarterback. They're gonna first say that. Who's he going to get the ball to?
Yep.
There's no Tyreek Hill, so we're forcing our number 2 receiver to jump up and play that. Who we also cannot trust because he drops too many balls. So it's kind of like, okay, well, we have this Tet McMillan guy that we can get excited around, and he can fill into that role, and we can start rolling with that. So I don't know. It's kind of like you're building a story around like the drama that is the NFL.
Yeah. Yeah.
That would be my thought process. And
I
there's a
think
lot
this draft-
that just bubbled up. I just like chat GBT'd my head into like a storyline there. So
Yeah, totally.
Well, we're halfway through, Coach, and you got the Colts pick.
No,
Where you
I think-
going?
I got the Colts pick.
Oh,
Yeah,
Josh,
he's got
I'm
the
sorry.
Colts
I'm sorry, Josh.
He was so frustrated with my wide receiver, he just skipped over me. So I'm trying to think as well, like, where am I going to go with this as far as the Colts go? And the Colts need a tight end. Tyler Warren is there. They need an offensive line. They have a young quarterback, so both could help the quarterback getting that tight end or getting that guard, because they're kind of building something a little nice in Indianapolis with having one guy that I like, Bernard Raymond, left tackle. I'm trying to think of what school he went to. I see like the colors of Boston College in my head. They also have Quentin Nelson, but getting like that right guard potentially go. And I like in my head when I think of guard, right guard, I think of Booker out of Alabama. But also, what do you have at tight end? They have Mo Ali Cox, Drew Ogletree. It's a tough decision for me, but I think later on, if you want, you could probably get that guard position, because I feel like guard is kind of positioned later in this draft on how it's going to play out. So I'm going to go Tyler Warren here.
Yep, that's my brother-in-law would be so happy with that pick.
Tyler Warren to the Indianapolis Colts. That is a favored pick too. I know amongst the fan base there in Indianapolis. Tyler Booker makes a lot of sense to pair with Quentin Nelson, so I don't think you would have been in the wrong there. Calvin Banks still on the board. So now we go with the Atlanta Falcons. Coach, where are they going?
I'm trying to see I can't see their needs.
Corner, D-tackle, edge, safety, linebacker. I know they like Jaheed Campbell a lot, so they are looking at linebackers and edge rushers.
Let's see, cornerback. I think they will go Shamar Stewart. I liked him. I liked him against Notre Dame.
Anthony's going to be excited. Let's hear what you have to say about Shamar Stewart. Anthony's been asking about Shamar Stewart here.
So Shamar Stewart going to the Atlanta Falcons per coach. Again, a guy who's versatile on the defensive line. He's met with Miami. I know some fans like him too, the Dolphins, especially after Calais Campbell. What he can offer even as an edge rusher. So he goes to Atlanta. Atlanta is in on defensive line again, and linebackers. They're a player that they're very connected with that I kept seeing is Jaheed Campbell. So an edge rusher here at this spot makes a lot of sense. I know Arizona is also a team in that ballpark, and that's me, right? I'm on the clock.
Yep.
So this makes a lot of sense. Let me see here. that would have been the pick, but I am going to go. Let me make sure. Well, there's someone sitting there that is not supposed to be there. Actually, I'm trying to think of their room.
They don't have much. They have the kid from Ohio State, Harrison.
Yeah, Marvin
Really
Harrison.
the
Jr.
only it's
Yeah,
really,
so you know where my head is at. You know exactly where I'm looking at here.
yeah.
Ah,
Compare McMillan with
I'm
Marvin
looking.
Harrison.
Yeah, that it's because I'm thinking, man, you have that opportunity to do that because I could see him going here. There's no, I highly doubt he goes to Cincinnati. Seattle's another is where McMillan could fall. I don't see him falling past 18, but obviously they need an edge rusher there in Arizona. But Cincinnati's going to be very static because Cincinnati direly needs an edge rusher if they trade Hendrick away.
Yeah.
And now that McMillan is going to go to Arizona, that gives Cincinnati I did do it. I did it. So McMillan goes to Arizona, and that gets two big wide receivers there for Kyler Murray.
We actually met with, as the Bengals, we just met with the guy we're going to take, and we're really excited about that. So James Pierce Jr. is going to be the pick here.
Easy enough. So Bengals. Edge rusher out of Tennessee. There you go. If I could get it, there it is. So James Pierce Jr. That's an easy pick. James Pierce Jr. off the board. So, Coach, you're back on it, my man. Yeah. Seattle Seahawks.
Well, this is pretty much a no-brainer. Calvin Banks Jr. They need a lot of offensive line help.
There you go.
And I think he helps solidify that offensive line.
The best OT in the draft. Well, left tackle. Let's say left tackle.
All right. So, resume. Why did you do that? That scared me. So, Calvin Banks going to the Seahawks. So, I'm already back here, back on the board. So, we got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And they got, let's see here. There it is. All right. So, Devin White isn't getting any older, any younger. They need a linebacker. I'm going to go Jaheed Campbell here. I know he is rising up boards. He's a favorite amongst Atlanta and Tampa, but I'm going there. Now we move on to the Denver Broncos.
Yeah, the Denver Broncos. They need some defensive help. And I'm trying to see where I want to go with this. They can go Michael Williams here.
Yep.
Get another edge rusher, Jalen Walker as well. They could dip into that Georgia pool as well as, they also need help at receiver as well. So, trying to look at this, they have right now the receivers are Cortland Sutton, Marvin Mims Jr., and Devon Veely. So there's another guy in this draft that I'm pretty high on, and getting more help for the great hope in Denver, Bo Nix, who is amazing.
Sell it, Josh. Sell it.
Matthew Golden, wide receiver, Texas.
Yeah, there it is.
I like it. I like
that. Let's see.
But we do have some guys falling here.
We do have a lot of good guys falling.
I feel like Michael Williams and Jalen Walker, who I feel like could be falling, are kind of overrated for the next level. Like they're good college guys, but I feel like they're kind of overrated.
Coach, you have a good one here, man. You got Pittsburgh.
I do. And Pittsburgh's going to shock the world here and go Curtis Rourke, quarterback out of Indiana.
Whoa! I
need
did not. I
quarterback.
thought you were going quarterback. I did not think that.
And the reason I say that is Curtis Rourke played a lot of football in Ohio. Played this last year in Indiana, cold weather quarterback, kind of from that area, that region. And I am really high on Curtis Rourke, and I just think that he fits that Pittsburgh. I said that he reminded me of maybe a smaller version of Roethlisberger.
So this is first off. I just want to say I'm not hating on anything, and I'm not. And I love it more than I hate it, and I love it because it's the draft. It's exactly how a draft would go. You think, hey, if there's a next quarterback, it's gonna be Milroe. Nope, it's not. It's gonna be Rourke. It's like, wait a second, what? I just love this, and I know when we post it on social media, people are going to fly off the freaking handle.
Every time you could have you have the exact mock draft that the draft is actually going to turn out to be, and they would be like, "Nope, you're wrong. That's not what our team's going to do."
Yeah,
I just love that. To do that, and you gave a very good reason as to why it could happen with the type of quarterback that Rourke is, and we know Rourke is flying up boards. We do know that. So to go all the way up to 21 to Pittsburgh over Milroe, that's like whoa. So I can't hate on it. I think that's just that's awesome. That's crazy. That's exactly what we need in the mock. I mean, and I just love it because if you think about it, it's Josh's fault. He started it with Jackson Dart.
That's going to happen.
You know what I'm saying though? But look at that, dude. Like it's gone. Hampton to Chicago. Henderson to Dallas, and then you go now, you got Curtis Rourke. That's like, wow. So, hey, I'm up, aren't I? I'm up here. Sorry. Okay. This is an easy one, I think. Justin Herbert and company, you look at who's available right now, the top 4 of those guys, there's, I'm going to have to roll with a guy who is flying up boards, another Michigan guy. I'm going to go with Colston Loveland, tight end. Some people have him over Tyler Warren. So I'm going to go with Loveston here to give Justin Herbert a weapon in the tight end room.
Perfect. So I got the Packers. And I'm going to do right by the Packers.
Watching you.
I know. I'm going to do right by the Packers just for Stager. But I'm probably not going to go the traditional guy that everyone thinks could go here as far as like cornerback. I think a lot of people are thinking, you're going to take a cornerback. That's probably going to be a guy. Where's my guy at?
Who are you looking for?
A lot of people are probably thinking it's Barron that might go here.
Yeah, I like Barron, man.
I'm not going to go Barron.
Okay.
I think they need more of a boundary guy. I'm going to go Trey Amos here. Big-bodied outside guy.
From Ole Miss.
Trey Amos. Okay. Damn. All right. I love it. Minnesota Vikings. Coach.
Show me their needs.
They are They got safety, corner. So first off, safety, Nick Amenrari, Malachi Starks on the board. Corner, Jade Barron still on the board.
This feels like Malachi Starks.
Malachi Starks going to the Minnesota Vikings. Let's see, Malachi.
The Texans.
So the Houston Texans, they trade away their star tackle and Laramie Tunsil. They need offensive line help across the board. But they could go BPA here because that's what they tend to do.
Yeah.
But let's roll here.
Ooh.
Let's take a look at what we got going on here.
2 of my favorite guards there.
I'm going to go with a guy who can play multiple spots here. and I'm going to go with Zabel
Yep, I like it.
to Houston.
I like it.
So they address their offensive line with a guy who can play multiple spots, but obviously, you can plug him in at guard and he'll start day one. So we're back to Josh.
Yeah, and I
Let's
think
see if he could blow this up anymore.
Yeah, let's see. I think if the Rams got to this position and the people were still available, they're going to go with him. So I'm going to run to the podium for Jalen Walker, linebacker, Georgia.
Here you go. Easy enough. Easy enough. So we're at Baltimore here. It's awesome when you hear that. Oh, okay.
Well, it says they need offensive guard, cornerback, edge, linebacker, safety. And as much as I am an offensive line guy, I just feel the Patriots or the Ravens, my bad, are in need of, or they always feel like
they go BPA, man.
Yeah, very strong defensive team, and I think they would be stupid to pass on Mike Green, edge.
I'm with you. I'm with you, Mike.
It just feels like when you do these drafts and you're picking for different teams, like there's just certain players that you're like, God, this feels like this might be this team. The Lions.
So the Detroit Lions. Damn. Obviously, if you go based off their team needs, they got, first off, let me just scroll this down for a second because these three guys right here. Michael Williams, Nick Amenrari, Jade Barron. Those are three of their top needs in this draft.
Who did they lose? Didn't they lose or didn't the Dolphins trade for a corner?
Malifonwu. They got Malifonwu. The Dolphins took Malifonwu, their safety.
Yeah.
They need an edge rusher to pair with their star edge rusher who was hurt last year. And of course a corner. But because of the Malifonwu thing, I'm going to roll with Nick Amenrari here.
Oh. And I'm throwing a pencil or a pen because I'm mad at the Commanders that you took that.
I'm going Amenrari. I like Amenrari. I love Amenrari and I love Jedi Barron. Like these are two guys that if Miami picks them at 13, I am ecstatic. I really do like these guys. But I just messed up your day, Josh.
Yeah.
So talk to me, man.
Yeah, I was hoping we get a safety here. Like I personally feel like, I mean, Washington's building something. They really are. Like you get new ownership there, and like the culture changes. It turns into like you get a quarterback finally, and it just turns into something special. But I was hoping I could get in there and get a safety because for this team, I feel like safety is such a need under Dan Quinn's defense. That was one of the primary spots that he went after as he was Dallas's defense coordinator was safety. And so identifying those is like Will Harris is your strong safety, which is great. Don't mind Will Harris being there. Quan Martin is your free safety. I probably want to upgrade that. I also see, you know what I'm going to do? I am going to go in and say, I want to improve this secondary. We know while he was in Seattle, secondary was a big deal for him. But let me also look at who's. I'm going to go Jade Barron. He's one of the top players on this.
You got to, man. I love it. And he's so freaking good, dude. Yeah. I think people are going to be surprised how good this kid is. It was really a challenge. I mean, I really like Will Johnson a lot at 13, and he's a superstar corner in college. He's going to be a superstar corner in the NFL. But I think Jade Barron, you can't go wrong. Again, this guy could play the nickel. He could play the outside. He could do everything. His motor is off the charts. So for a team like Washington, that's a home run. That is a home run. The Buffalo Bills coach, because, you
We're
weren't
gonna
prepared
go-
today, and you just been being a coach and all that. We left you with the Bills because
There
why
you
not?
go. We're gonna go quarterback Jalen Milrow.
Boy,
That was just kidding.
it's
I'm
just-
gonna go. Let's see. I think they will go defense here, and we'll go best player available. Derek Harmon, defensive tackle, Oregon.
okay, there you go. Derek Hartman, D tackle out of Oregon, going to the Buffalo Bills. All right, so I've got Kansas City, and
D tackle, offensive guard, edge,
I know it. Let's see here. So I make a.
safety. Ooh.
You know what? Rock hard place me. I am going to go. Yeah. What do they got? Who do they have at? No, they're not going to do that. You know what? Let's make this simple. Let's roll with Tyler Booker out of Alabama. Up, secure that O line there for their star QB.
There you go.
Still on the board. Why not? You know, that's a good championship team type of pick there.
Yep.
So, Josh, you got the Eagles, man.
I know. I feel like I'm everyone in the NFC East but Dallas.
I'm.
But yeah, I feel like what makes Philadelphia so great, and it's going back to that conversation as well, is the trenches for them. Like they're stacked at offensive line. They're stacked
I wonder who you're going to go with here.
at defensive tackle. I have no clue who I'm going with. So
Whatever.
So curious.
The Georgia North.
Oh, I don't.
Profession of Georgia Bulldogs.
I don't know if they would go Michael Williams. But they just lost one of their defensive tackles that was so great. I think he went to New England. Can't think of his name right now, but they paid big money for him. So kind of filling in that with Walter Nolan, I think would be a great pick here. And just having that rotation of defensive linemen to just come in and just play here. So I'm going to go Walter Nolan out of Ole Miss.
There you go. Okay, let me write this down. And guys, I'm going to take a look at your comments in just a second. Forgive me. I promise I am here now. So there you go, man. There you go. Let's run this down very quick. Cam Ward goes to the Tennessee Titans. The Cleveland Browns select Jackson Dart out of Ole Miss. The Giants
what was Josh thinking? When he said Jackson Dart.
Shedeur Sanders goes to the Giants. Abdul Carter goes to the Patriots. Jacksonville takes Travis Hunter. Genty, the running back, goes to the Raiders. The Jets take Will Campbell. The Panthers go Mason Graham. The Saints take an offensive tackle, Armin Membo. The Bears take a running back, Amarian Hampton. The 49ers go Kenneth Grant. The Cowboys go running back with Travion Henderson. Miami goes corner with Will Johnson. Tyler Warren goes to the Colts. The Falcons take Shamar Stewart. The Cardinals get a tag team partner for Marvin Harrison with McMillan. Pierce goes to Cincinnati. Calvin Banks to the Seattle Seahawks. Buccaneers take Jaheed Campbell, linebacker out of Alabama. The Broncos get Bo Nix a weapon and Matthew Golden. The shock of the draft in round one goes to Pittsburgh with Curtis Wark from Indiana, the quarterback. You got 22. You got Colston Loveland from Michigan, the tight end, going to Justin Herbert and the Chargers. 23, corner Trey Amos. Malachi Starks goes to the Minnesota Vikings. The Houston Texans take Gray Zabel, offensive lineman out of North Dakota State. Rams take Jalen Walker, the linebacker out of Georgia. Baltimore goes BPA here with Mike Green, edge rusher out of Marshall. The Lions take Nick Amenrari to safety out of South Carolina. Barron finally goes off the board of Washington, the corner out of Texas. Derek Harmon, or a D tackle, goes to Buffalo. Tyler Booker, offensive guard, goes to Kansas City. And then we wrap up round one with Walter Nolan out of Ole Miss, D tackle, going to Philly. So very cool, man. This was a lot of fun. Let me stop this share here. Get everybody back. Bam. But that was freaking awesome. We'll post that up on social media. Let me just read here.
It felt like a real draft too. Like
it did.
You have those surprise picks. You're like, what were they thinking?
That was awesome, dude. That is cool. I love that. I think that's cool. And I think, there's so many. It's so easy to go with the popular pick. I get it, but to go with a shock factor, and it's not that it's really a shock factor. Like Jackson Dart at Cleveland. That's not much. He's rising up boards, but Josh gave a great points as to why that could be the pick. Coach, you with Dallas's pick, but then you go Pittsburgh's pick. Like you go, you said Curtis Work, and I'm like, whoa, are you trying that? What are you trying to do here? And you're like, no, but wait a second. Think about this type of quarterback. Think about what they like. Look at how he's flying up boards. Think about what he could do in cold weather games. That would shock the league, but again, you brought up great points. We have we have 90 some odd people watching, so I want to thank everyone who's watching right now. You're watching On the Clock, Miami Dolphins Weekly Draft Show here on FTSN. We were doing the round one mock draft, and I see a lot of people were in the comments participating. Skunk Ape, Anthony Manzano, Damian, Elwood, everyone, we appreciate you. Anthony says, Bobby, I understand why you like Barron, but in my honest opinion, I'm not picking a slot corner at 13. We need boundary guys and primary slides up. Well, again, let me specify or clarify something. Barron, and Skunk Ape said it right there. Barron is not just a slot corner. He could play out in the boundary. He could play the slot. That dude is a legitimate football player. He could do it all. I love his versatility. I love everything about him. You're underestimating him as a slot corner, just labeling him as a slot corner. If he is the pick at 13, it's a god dang good pick. And for him to go to Washington, where he went, that's a perfect pick. So Barron could play everything. And there you go. Skunk says he could play safety. I wouldn't doubt it. I wouldn't doubt it. Drew the 11 says the pick for the Dolphins would be D tackle or offensive line at 13. Anyone wishing for an injured corner is a dumbass. Well, thank you. Appreciate you for tuning in. And I would love to see how you react when they pick someone other than D tackle and offensive line at 13, sitting there with your thumbs up your ass. Sorry. But yes, Skunk Ape, I'm with you, man. I'd be happy with that pick. But yeah, man. So there you go. And again, guys, for those who are watching right now, we'll be live all 3 days of the draft, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, for every pick, every round, instant analysis, live reaction. And you have a chance at prizes. If you're watching, Caneswear, you have a gift card to Caneswear, who's sponsoring the NFL draft coverage for us. Coach?
We shout out to Caneswear, man. That's awesome.
Yeah, man. Caneswear is awesome, dude. They're great people there.
Lucky winners.
Russ Morgan, Dolphins trade the 2 and take Shador. Shut up, Russ. Jets fan. Hey, Russ, man, I got you.
The punter.
I got you, Will. Yeah, I was going to get you a punter. I got Will Campbell, man, out of LSU. So I don't know,
yeah, hopefully.
There you go. His Skunk Ape got some bikini ladies dancing in the background on draft. We're going to be doing it from the beach, It's like, no, man, it's going to be fun. This was a lot of fun, but we'll wait to wrap this up. But Josh, any final thoughts before we wrap this up, my man?
No, I'm just excited. Like I feel like I say this every week. I'm just excited for this draft to come up. I haven't been invested as much as I was last year into this, just because life happens.
Yeah,
but I feel like I'm ready just to see what happens, because there's a lot of conversation, and it's going to be fun because I feel like the talent of this draft isn't up to what last year or the year before was. And when that happens, you get a lot of these surprise picks of this guy because there's two different mindsets. There's the NFL mindset and there's the media mindset, and we're kind of seeing that media mindset. We don't know what the NFL is thinking,
Right.
and we only find that out draft day. We have a little bit of conversations coming out, so I'm excited to see what the NFL actually thinks because I feel like there's such a anywhere offensive line could just be completely different than what we're already going for. Um, I also think the quarterback position. I think we're probably Sanders up a little bit higher than he is just because of the name in the media side of things. The NFL could possibly see Shador Sanders as the 4 quarterback.
Yeah.
There could be a lot of things happening, so I'm excited for that.
Coach.
Yeah, this is. I mean, it's getting right. This is our Christmas, our Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Like this is what the three of us are really gets our goat, gets us rolling. The off-season draft process is, has always been something that's been super super interesting for me. So, being able to be a part of this show with you guys is awesome, and I can't wait for draft day to get here and for us to roll out another annual draft show. This is going to be fun.
Yeah.
100%. Anthony, this is Josh. Would you be shocked if San Francisco drafted Tyler Warren because George Kittle's not getting any younger?
I think I would be. I don't think tight end is the position that you draft years ahead
Right.
to replace. And I don't think you've seen that fall off yet with George Kittle. George Kittle is still George Kittle. Maybe if you saw that drop off, you would.
So just to let everybody know, On Deck has been canceled here at FTSN. They will no longer be airing any programs. I'm just playing. Keep testing me, Russ. No, I'm just playing. Let me just say for Anthony, no, I would not be shocked if they considered Tyler Warren, even if not with regards in George Kittle's age, just the fact that to pair them because they got rid of Kyle Jess. I forgot. I don't know how to say his last name, but yeah. So
no, they brought him back.
Oh, did they bring him back? Okay,
they brought back Juszczyk.
But I think to have that secondary option for the tight end room with George Kittle and Tyler Warren, I don't think it's about he's getting old, we're gonna have to replace him. It's more of like, hey, let's pair him with George Kittle and give Brock Purdy another weapon back there. And that might help George Kittle open up a little more because he's been a little stagnant the last couple seasons. So I wouldn't be shocked, but I think they could go anywhere other than there. But it wouldn't shock me, no. But anyway, everyone who's tuning in, thank you all so much for watching. We appreciate you. Make sure you're hitting that like and subscribe button. Hit that notifications bell. So when the draft show goes live on Thursday night, we'll be back next Sunday with another episode of On the Clock. But when the draft goes live, you're joining us, Skunk Ape. You're getting a chance to win that gift card, Anthony Manzano. Yeah. And it's every day of the draft. Day 1, day 2, day 3, you have a chance to win a gift card each of those days. For those who are tuning in throughout the day, you got to be involved. You got to be there. As you're watching the draft, you're tuning in live, reacting with us. And at the end of the day, at the end of that draft, probably pick 32, pick 31, whatever. We're making that pick on who's going to win that gift card for that day, and so forth the next following days. Later today, FTSN continues with awesome sports coverage. We got Russ Morgan live for the On Deck Baseball podcast. He'll be catching you up on everything Major League Baseball. He'll be live at 7:30 Eastern time. So that's Coach Vogel, Josh Wingate, myself. We appreciate you all tuning in. Hit that like and subscribe button. Dolphin fans, most importantly, as always,
go
Fins up.